What is the mood like when in such a scenario and a situation, and you know you as a photojournalist who's gone there to kind of take that picture, give an idea about what the reality of what the ground reality is to people who are sitting out there. Is it how do you see, because it's a conflict between two nations. Of course, at the end of the day, when you yourself as an individual are also covering it, you have certain level of patriotism, which obviously you being in Indian, but then you also have to disassociate yourself from that sort of a scenario, and then try and get that picture which millions of people will see.
See, I know it would be quite politically incorrect, but that's exactly what I was saying, was that you have to dissociate yourself with everything, including patriotism. If that's what's driving you, then you better go there to shoot with a gun, not with a camera. I'm not saying don't be patriotic, right? But before and after, not with your camera. One thing can't do is take sides. Can't. Tell me, in a world court of justice, the judge is definitely from some country, but when he's ruling between two countries, can he be patriotic? Right? So every kind of attachments of yours, you have to let go of all that. It's very unnatural, very difficult, but you have to. I tell you, I'm a big fan of Sachin Tendulkar. Right? I was covering in Wankhede, and Wankhede, where we sit, and the people, the spectators are very close. There's not much of gap. So you know what happens to the audience. Look, it's very loud when the match is going on. But do you know what happens when Sachin gets out? Pin drop silence.
Yes.
So in one of those photographs, normally when a player is clean bowled, you don't see that person's face because his face is going to hit a shot and
Hmm.
looking downward, and you don't get. And that's what um, doesn't make the picture that effective if you don't see the face of the
Hmm.
batsman. But in this shot, in this particular Sachin went for a big shot, missed the ball, clean bowled. So you could see his face, see the bat, the wickets are flying, got the ball on the stumps, all in that picture. So I was very happy with that picture. And somehow, very wrongly timed, when I was expressing my glee to the photographer, someone's there, oh, you Millia, something. And I realized suddenly it had gone quiet. And some guys from behind said, oh, such an out, okay, and you're feeling happy.
Hmm.
So my first devotional dedication is to my photograph.
Right.
My loyalty is to my photograph. So I'm Sachin's fan. And if I was watching it in television at home, I would have felt horrible. But here, it was about my photography. I don't care who wins, loses. I have to do a good job of my work. They are doing their work. I'm going to do my work, right? So uh, that's a difficult part of it. But you know, uh, as I said in Kargil when I went there, it was all very thrilling. The thrill disappeared when I realized it's a real war and people are dying, and that affects you. If it doesn't affect you, then what kind of human being are you? But that's why it completely changed me. When I came back, I was not. It was not the thrill part was for a very short while, and I realized that I am just documenting a very important historical moment, very tragic moment. Any war is tragic.
Hmm. What is the what is the scariest moments that you've been in while covering any such
Lots of
scenarios?
scary moments, full of scary
Hmm.
moments, all kinds of scary moments.
You want to tell us about
Well, the scariest
it?
moment is when your life is at risk.
Hmm.
Um, Now, there are two kinds of scary moments. One that has happened,
Hmm.
and you're looking back at it, and there's something that you're going through it. The worst two kinds happen not at a war zone or covering wars or covering riots. Um, there are two of them. One, both in Calcutta. Um, I was not even going to cover that event. I was going to, that time Mamata Banerjee, I think, was the opposition or something like that. So I got some assignment. I was working in the Telegraph and got an assignment to. Actually, so many of them are there, but this comes to my mind. Um, and on the way, there was a fight between two taxi unions. And so the police was not, I don't know if there's police or not, but they had not arrived. So we are being diverted somewhere to take some other route. But just about, we were going to change our route, the fighting had stopped and they were letting cars go, go through them. All the cars were peacefully going by, but our car had a name, the word press on it. So immediately these bunch of people from a taxi and they came and garrowed my car. And Bengali, they started asking, which press? Kon press? Which press? I didn't know there are two tax unions. One is pro-Congress and one is pro-CPM, Communist Party. That time, I don't think so TMC was a big player. And did realize that Telegraph, doesn't matter what my view is, but Telegraph is slightly pro-Congress. At least that's the perception most people will have. So I thought I'll play it safe. Why not say PTI? That will be quite neutral. When I saw the logbook, driver's logbook, written Ananda Bazar Patrika, which Telegraph is part of it. So if I get caught lying, I'll have a bad time. And all around me, go and they're hitting the car and all that. Tell which press? And I said, okay, let's tell the truth. And let's hope this is the pro-Congress union. I said the Telegraph. The moment I said the Telegraph, all kind of abuses. Hit him, hit him. Punches coming from this side of the window, that side of the window, and I'm right center, banging on the car roof and all that. I said, it's a matter of few seconds. Maybe they'll pull me out and lynch me. God knows what will happen to me. So I have to do something. And I saw one guy was outside with some blood flowing from his head, he was bleeding. And I took my camera in one hand, and with all the might, all the force that I could generate, I opened the door, tried to open, and they just moved back because they know what's happening. And I opened the door, and they were taken aback for a while. And I took my camera and pointed at that guy's head, you know, because he was bleeding. I started taking a picture. Everyone's quiet. I realized this is the moment, make or break moment. If anyone hits me now, they'll all start hitting me. And then one guy said, with a lot of expletives, I can't say that here, and see what they have done to him. I said, yes, I can see. I'm photographing that. Huh? And they were all very agitated and angry. Then I slowly moved away and I took out a paper and pen as if I'm some reporter. Okay, what's your name? I started writing that. Okay, one by one. Okay, and they started expressing their whatever grievance was. And I started writing, pretending to whatever while writing, and then I took some more photographs. Tomorrow it should come out in the paper, otherwise we'll break your bones. It will come out. Quiet. It will come out. By the time the car had moved up ahead, I opened the door, sat in, and left. I said, where does trouble come from? It's not a war. It's not right. It's just, I could have been lynched to death there.
Mm.
So I'm just saying, why this particular thing? Because when you go in knowing there's some danger, that I realize, okay, this riots, very
Your
dangerous.
expectation that you are putting
There
yourself
were
in the
very
place.
dangerous moments in Gujarat riots, which happened. And
Mm.
more than me, the driver was shivering, absolutely trembling, and he had lost it completely, lost senses. Um, but this one, I was not expecting this. Um, where I was covering elections in West Bengal, it's national elections. There's a place called Howrah, which is close to Calcutta, just a suburban district. And the elections where the voting was happening in a school there. They had transformed into a voting booth. So I went to the first floor and I saw this children standing in a queue waiting to vote. I said, wow, never seen anything like this. I went in, stood next to the ballot box, waiting for the children to come in. No one came in. I guess they realized I'm there and they don't want to be photographed. Or then I later realized there were two older guys, their leader, local goons who were dictating, telling them what to do or not to do. And they had stopped them from coming in. So I went to another room, and same thing happened. No one came in, and these two guys, tough, muscular guys, looked scary. Guess the local goons, as I said, and there was a polling officer, the government officer, and they came to him and told him Bengali that it's not very convenient for me to be there. It's not convenient to them. Uh, they told him in Bengali. Now I have every right to be there because I have the accreditation pass there. So he can't tell me to leave. The government official can't tell me to leave. But he looked at me helplessly, and uh, I realized nothing would happen. Till the time I am there, and these two guys are there, they won't allow children to come in. So I said, okay, I'll leave. It's okay, I'll leave. And then I went out, went down, but I didn't leave. I went to the ground floor. There also the voting was happening. And I saw these few representatives of political parties sitting there on a bench, and they have to be there. Behind them was a dark area. I went and sat there, hiding myself. I waited for quite a few hours. I went in noon, it was 4 o'clock, quietly waiting, hoping something will happen. And then finally I saw this kid. He was really a kid, right? If it's like 16, 17, people can dispute he's not a kid, and I can get into trouble if I write in my caption as a kid. There's a minor voting there, I'll get into serious trouble. So it has to visually look like a kid. And he looked like a kid this much. And I have to be very careful shooting. People should not be able to say, oh, there was a father next to him. I have to show there's no father, no one alone. It has to be just holding the ballot is not a problem, the voting paper. If he drops it in, that's gone. So I have to perfectly time myself while he's dropping it in. Half is outside, half inside, no one around him, low light, and you can't shoot an ISO because those films, maximum have a 400 ISO. You can't boost it up to, like in digital cameras you can do. So I have to use a flash. I don't want blurs. I have to freeze it. I put the flash ready. I have to perfectly time myself. The boy went towards the box. He's about to drop that ballot inside. Wow. I stepped across on top of the bench, took one big step, and pressed the shutter. Right? The flash went off. Pictures taken. But after that, you know, reality dawned on me where I am. Okay, picture to le liya. You've shot the picture. How will you leave this place? And everyone was looking at me. Everyone is staring at me like I'm saying hello, like yeah, right? Quiet. Everyone's quiet. I've taken a picture of this happening. What do you think? These are all government officials, everything all up in arms. They will not let me publish this picture. Do you think what will happen to them? And these two gundas, they landed up straight there. One on the right, one on the left. Dada, ki bolna. You know, we told you to leave, no? That's all. The only line I spoke. One caught me on this side, one caught me on the other arm. Really hurting the way they're digging in into my hand. Literally almost lifted me off the ground like that. So come quietly. We walked outside the building. A narrow lane. We were walking. And there was this block of buildings on the side to my right. The main road was on the other side of those buildings. And there was like a ghetto area here. I don't know what to do. I mean, all the thrill of getting the pictures gone. Because I know they'll break the camera, they will expose the film. That will never see the light of the day, that picture. I was thinking about myself. What will they do? Will they break my bones? Then I saw, as I was walking past one of these houses, one woman was the window was open and she was seeing. And the moment she saw us, she closed the window as if she doesn't want to witness a crime or a murder or something like that. That really got me scared. I thought they're going to kill me. And I don't know what to do. Should I try to run? If I try to run, they'll start beating me up. And as I was thinking all this, there was one spot where there's an empty plot. There's no buildings, so I could see the main road. I saw a car speeding towards us, an ambassador car, full speed. And it came to a screeching halt just a few feet away from us. So, I mean, a second more, and we would have all got, three of us would have got killed. And the driver jumped out and he said, Arko Datta. Arko Datta in Bengali, they all call Da. So we are looking for you. That someone. He's looking for you, and you are here. And he caught me by the collar, pulled me into the car, started the car, and we left. He was an office car driver. He saved my life, or whatever. These guys are so shocked and stunned to see a car come like this. One guy comes out screaming. They couldn't do anything. And he came out. No way he'll dare to do that, but he did it to protect me. And I just could say one word, thank you. I don't know what I've gone through, like, thank you. And I realized, not only then, late also, your best teammate is your car driver, right? picture got published everywhere, and there was got published in Manorama, and there was a stone throwing there, and I got a lot of threat calls and everything, and um, but I guess till date I have not seen a picture like that of a child voting. I think, you know. Anyway, that was quite a scary moment. There are many of them, but this was why I remember these, because if you go to a riot and war, you're mentally prepared. I'm not prepared to go through this for covering voting and for just going on the road somewhere to cover Mamata Banerjee's press conference. You know, so trouble can come from anywhere, and it's real serious trouble. But this is what you go through it, and you have to be, and no one can teach you in anywhere how to handle the situations. No one can teach you.
Hmm. You mentioned a little bit earlier about also a scenario in Kargil in August where you thought that you would have
Oh yeah,
died. Can you tell us about that?
the war had officially come to an end.
Hmm.
Ceasefire was announced. I used to go every day. Um, I used to start at 5 o'clock in the morning. Why that early? It used to be pitch dark because my rival agency, that time, we all had film cameras, so they were the first ones to get a digital. That means they can send a picture from the spot,
Hmm.
right? And I have to come back to this small hotel lodge kind of a place called Kargil Lodge. So that had opened up only for journalists. I have to come wherever I am. I have to come back, process, send. Which means at least 2.5 hours, 3 hours. So he would start at 7, so I would start at 5 just to get that neutralize the time advantage. And the driver was an amazing guy, Zakir, became like a real teammate of mine, and he also loved doing what he was. I could realize that he was loving it, and he would bang on the door till the time I didn't open the door and say, Zakir, हाँ जाओ मैं आ रहा हूँ, take my bag and you know go sit in the car at 5 o'clock and immediately fall asleep again. Pitch dark. It's 2 hours. It's Kargil to Dras is 2 hours, so I'd fall asleep. The first break of dawn, first sunlight, and suddenly I would hear Zakir, Sab, Sab. I said, yeah, kya? Wo dekho. I saw this soldier taking a bath under a big anti-aircraft gun or something. So wow, that's nice. Take a picture. Thank you, Zakir. Sit down. Again fall asleep. Sab, wo dekho. I said, this guy's become a press guy. Like, this guy is enjoying it thoroughly. He knows what I want.
Hmm.
And then by 8 o'clock, we reached Tras. Beautiful place. I wonder why they're fighting here, both India and Pakistan. It's better than Switzerland here. They should both agree to, really, have peace there and convert into paradise. But they're fighting. I don't know. I would have a first cup of tea, coffee, tea. We would have tea there. And then hit the dirt track towards LOC. And there's no road there, through little waters, ambassador car, not a jeep or something. And this guy's an amazing driver. He took me through all this and that, and then we will reach Mashko Valley. Mashko Valley was Indian camp, military camp. They're just close to the LOC. And first, I was not allowed to be there. No, 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 not allowed. And then in a few days, I became very friendly with everyone. I was having lunch and not dinner maybe, but lunch and a lot of I became like part of their team kind of thing. Everyone knew me. I knew many people there. I was very welcome there. And when I was told to come back, the ceasefire over, the war is over. I said I should say goodbye to them. They've been so hospitable to me. And so we were again going there. On the way, one jeep was coming from the other side, army jeep. He stopped. Why going there? I said we are going to meet. We're going to Mashko Valley. I'm going to meet the people. I gave some reference and all. I said, yeah, okay, go there, but it's heavy shelling today, so we advise you not to go. Then you want to go, it's your wish. So okay, yeah, I have to. Next morning, I'm leaving, and when we reached there, on the right hand side there's this huge mountain. Left hand side is a valley, flat land for maybe a kilometer or two, and then again mountains there. Normally, we would hear this
Shell.
incoming shells coming, making a whistling sound like far away, and then fall somewhere else, making a third kind of a sound, far away. You feel safe. because this mountain is protecting you. But that day they got the trajectory and it was coming close to you. You can hear it much louder. And then you have to finally turn to go to Moscow Valley. You have to turn left into that shelling. So Zakir stopped. I asked, Zakir, क्या हुआ? डर लग रहा है? He didn't say anything. देखो डर लग रहा है तो क्या करें? डर को काबू करें, आगे जाएं, क्या करें? He was, why should he bother risking his life, his car? He should go back. But actually, he was in the mood. He loved that work. अरे साहब अब तक यहाँ आ गए ना, अब जाएंगे. Even if I wanted to go, he would not let me go back. He was so, हाँ चलो चलते हैं. We went straight into it. Hopefully nothing happens. Then we went to our left and then turned right. Once you turn right, you can see the Mashko Valley below you. It's not huge. There's a little stream there. And normally you'll see a lot of activity. Someone's taking a bath in that cold water. Some mules are there. Camps, a lot of vehicles. Completely empty. तो जाके क्या हुआ? खाली है आज. And I'll tell you, there's a one truck only parked there. My life's most important line I spoke that day. And I don't know why. I mean, how does it matter where he parks? But I just told him from God knows why. जाकिर, गाड़ी को ट्रक के राइट में पार्क करो. He parked it on the right. And then I got down. My bag was inside. So once you get down, you open the door and you again kneel inside to pull the bag out. As I was doing that, I heard like a lightning strike the earth. Like lightning sound, thunderous sound just behind me. I had no idea what had happened. My first instinct was to dive, but of course it's too late. If you dive at that moment, either you dive or don't dive. You should dive when you hear the sound of incoming. Once it explodes, it's too late to dive. But I thought of diving first. And then I realized there's no point, in that fraction of a second, all these thoughts. My fourth instinct took over. I thought, okay, what happened? And as I was standing, then I heard suddenly a lot of soldiers. Then I realized where they were. They were hiding behind some rocks, and the brigade major was far away. What is it called? I'm forgetting that. Underground bunkers. It was too far for me to go there. It was unsafe because incoming shells are there. He said, "Arko, go up immediately!" Right? And I took my bag and I ran up. Soldiers helped me. There's a big boulder in the mountains. Few of them were hiding there. I also hid myself, there. I have no idea where the driver went. He ran somewhere. I ran somewhere. And then I, of course, asked a very silly question to the soldiers. ये इतना फायरिंग शेलिंग कब करते हैं साहब? मतलब कहाँ साहब टाइम टेबल देकर नहीं रखा है बाकी सब. Anyway, I say, yeah, of course. But one thing is there, it's not random firing. They do rounds, 6 rounds or 4 rounds, something. So once it's over, it usually comes down. It doesn't just suddenly two extra shells come in. It doesn't happen. So once it calmed down, we all got down, and it's not like a movie shelling. It doesn't drop on your head. The killing range is almost 100 feet. That's what the soldiers told me. And this explodes, and this people die of shrapnel hitting them anywhere. And I'm not too sure about this, but what I heard from the soldiers that there was a tent close to the mountain, and normally you don't get the trajectory that day they were getting from the other side, and it's all after ceasefire. Huh? They normally go other side because the mountain protects you, but that day they were getting it, and these 4 soldiers sitting in that, they thought they're safe. So either 3 died and 1 injured, or 3 injured and 1 died. Something happened to soldiers. So very solemn. Everyone's very solemn. So I couldn't say goodbye, bye-bye to anyone because the mood was different. It'd be jarring for me to say bye-bye to everyone because they all, I can understand the mood after people have got killed there. So I just quietly, and I left from that place. But before that, I saw what happened. These soldiers were, I think, 90 feet away or something like that. This shell exploded maybe 30 feet away from me. The only thing between the shell and me was this truck. And this truck is also nothing. The walls of the car or a vehicle is just like paper. But there was heavy machinery inside. So big holes this side, nothing this side because of the machinery inside. If you had parked on the left, it would have been that rare target where it would have would have fallen on our head on the car. No one identified any one of us, our parts, body parts of the car. Something. And both Zakir and I looked at each other and realized that. But of course, this realization was after it happened, so there was no fear as such. I realized. And from that day to today, I can't forget why I said, Zakir, गाड़ी को right में park करो.
Wow.
So I said, this is on the day I went to say bye. After the coverage is over, I would have died. I mean, what a shame that was. What a pity that was. I was luckily survived it.
This so these are instances which come to your mind when you
Hmm.
were covering a conflict like this. What are some of the most scariest moments that you've seen as a photojournalist while covering some of these things?
This is
It's
scary.
yeah,
What is so scary?
not for
No.
you personally. I
Hmm.
mean, like even generally while covering it, if there are any instances, of course, without naming anybody or naming any things, if you can
See,
share some anecdotes, because I know that you had covered Afghanistan as well extensively. I think,
Afghanistan was not really a war coverage as such, because it was post-war. But the same year, just a month after that, so there were simmerings, but it was not really. Iraq was more of a during the war.
hmm,
There, I was doing more of human interest stories in Afghanistan, and that always interested me more than war. Actually, um, I always, for me, what has been more important to me is not the war or the people fighting from both the sides, but the innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. So I did a lot of those stories, of this little of a young boy who lost his leg, rehabilitation of him in landmines and other. So I did a lot of daily life pictures and um, which I did in Afghanistan, which was very satisfying. But I wanted to do the same in Iraq, but of course could not because it was different situation.
hmm.
The war was
No,
fight was going on.
the reason I ask you this is because, from a context and a perspective, I want to try and understand that there are two sides, right? One side is when you are obviously the fear of death or the fear of life per se as a photojournalist, because you, as you said, you have to be very self-aware about what's happening around you. And the other thing is that there are instances where you also witness a lot of things,
See, there's
and
so
they
many.
can leave a
See, what is happening to others, that's constant. It's like every other day. Someone getting beaten up, someone getting killed, that's it's like asking a doctor that, you know, have you seen patients? People getting, you know, uh, brutalized, beaten up, even getting killed, that's
because I
or
remember you.
dying of natural disaster. Emotional, it's an emotional journey of grief, of celebration, of sorrow, of happiness. It's always, I mean, that's basically all the photography is that. And Tsunami, I think I had given up smoking for 26 days, and very happy. Um, and because 26 days, because 26 December, Boxing Day, Tsunami happened. And next morning, 27th, I was there. 26th itself, I was there, but 27th, I was there in Kadlur. And I was, the car was parked there. My laptop was open on the bonnet, and I was filing some pictures. And I was close to big holes they've dug in for mass graves. So there were a few people there, few dead bodies there. And I'm used to a lot of death, a lot of misery, and a lot of sorrow. I'm used to it. Despite that, slowly the numbers started increasing. And I was a little further away from that actually. And soon it was all around me, people crying, dead bodies, and it just affected me mentally. I couldn't work. I said, okay, forget the deadline. I know. And I asked another guy, was there, you have a cigarette? I said, I have to smoke. And I don't want to say this absolutely politically incorrect, but that helped my mind. So after that, I came back to it's completely I tell you, the first thing that I witnessed when I went to Kargil War was this. Because I need hardly any chance of finding any survivors. One rescuer really, he was bringing the lifeless body of a child covered in mud and muck and brought in from the sea. And I guess the father and mother, I guess so. I'm not sure about that, but have to be my father and mother because they were crying and they're running with that man and reaching out to their child. And the man placed the body. And I had two cameras, one with a wide angle, one with a telephoto lens. And I started taking all three of them for the father and mother. They were holding, crying. You know, it's a fine emotional balance you have to have when covering these kind of things. If you get too emotional, you're not going to be productive. And it has happened to me. I forgot to shoot in some moments. If you're very emotional, you can't be a writer, you can't be a poet. Only recalling that moment of emotion, you can become a poet. At that moment, you can't write anything. And if you're completely detached, what are you covering? It's a human story. So that much you have to involve yourself emotionally that you can understand what's happening, feel for it. But if you do too much, then you are useless also. So I like to, not get involved too much, not get too emotionally affected. But this is one of those moments where I was crying internally, where the father was holding the son's hand, helped after he cried. He put his just rested his head forehead on his hand, little hand of child, which was alive, work playing, and that kid was playing and laughing, and now lying needless. I felt so much of pain for the father, and suddenly I realized, what is this all about? It's not about the boy dead. It's how father and mother they're coping with it. This is where my photography, my story, my technical settings, my composition was dictated by my emotion. That's why I say you have to connect your heart and mind in this. And I realized the story is not about the boy; it's about the father. Immediately, I moved to telephoto. Keeping the boy there, what are you trying to prove? It could actually be counterproductive because if tomorrow, next morning, is published in the paper, people will not see the photograph because it's uh, most people won't be able to take the photograph of the child, which is covered in muck and all that. People will just turn the page. It'll distract from the emotion of the father. So I just kept the hand and the father's face reclining on it. Um, uh, one more father in Kumbakonam fire accident in a school, 80 children died. And I think they were Hindus, most of it, but yet they hated fire so much they didn't want to anymore have any, uh, you know, what do you call that? Uh, fire.
Okay.
Um,
I
the
understood
word
what
I'm
you're
forgetting
saying.
the word for
Yeah.
what um, so they wanted to bury the children. Nothing to do with fire. They hated fire. Right? Um, in one of I was covering one of in one of the burial grounds, and boy must be 5 or 6 years old, wrapped in white cloth, being placed in that uh, grave, and it's a small town, right? And the father, you know, he was looking at skyward, beyond crying, the grief beyond crying, and pouring chocolates, not sweets or something, right? Normally in that town, I would expect that it would be sweets or something. That means this boy must have loved chocolates. Actually, this is one more time. I just it's so painful. Again, I'm not tears. I'm not coming, but I was crying internally. I stopped shooting. I went across the other side and held him. Others also held him. Not for him. It didn't matter to him who I am. I'm a stranger. Not for him. For myself. For my heart. I couldn't just take his grief. Just looking. He was just looking up and just putting like that. giving us chocolates. And that photograph was published, I think, in HT or somewhere in Delhi. One of my friends and fellow photographer from an agency, he called me up early morning, 5 or 6 o'clock, and he was very emotional. Seeing he was emotional seeing the picture. See how much people relate. How everyone. He was crying almost, saying, "मेरा बेटा भी chocolate मांगता है इस समय." When he saw that picture, his focus son is fine, but so I'm telling you, this is completely such an emotional journey. Where do you place yourself and your self glory and all that? Is if you do that, then I don't know. Just two, three things you just can't do. You are not more important than the story. Your name, your fame, your work, your glory is not at all meaningless. It's meaningless. And second, you have to be absolutely truthful. I would, left to me, I would make any kind of lies in journalism to be a criminal offense. I remember I was in Mumbai. There was SARS. Do you remember SARS? It's not that big as COVID, but still it was big in
Yeah, it
South Asia.
was.
In India, it was not that big.
Yeah.
Only one place, in one city, they had SARS. Actually, cases of SARS in India was Pune. That's it. I went also to cover there. But when I opened the Times of India page, front page, a coolie in Amritsar wearing a mask because of SARS. Picture was shot very well, creatively shot, nice composition, but something was amiss. कूली वो इन पुणे also doesn't मैंने अमृतसर कब कूली कब पहनना शुरू कर दिया. Anyway, fine. Writer's picture. Next day, and this picture created a furor, panic in Amritsar. Lots of parents were calling up health department, what's happening, didn't send their children to school, and lots of things. Um, naturally. So, if the SARS is there, who is wearing a mask, you need to be scared. Next day, Indian Express sent a reporter and photographer to the railway station with that newspaper thing and identified who the coolie is. They asked the coolie, why were you wearing the mask? So I don't know. So I don't know, then why? So well, the photographer, one photographer came with a mask. He told me wear it and walk up and down. That's what it is. That's it. For that one picture of his, for what God knows, not even like he'll get some big award, something like that, or whatever the reason be, for that little personal need of his, he created such a panic in the city.
Mm.
Now tell me, does you think it is a school photography or college photography are doing for something, or what is it? This is a crime. This is when you put yourself ahead of anything. You're dealing with people, their lives. You're spreading such panic. I don't know if it's right for me to make a comment on this or not,
Mm.
but this is what I feel.
But ethics
You're a bad
is.
photographer, good photographer doesn't matter. It's okay.
Mm.
Or if your creativity is a mess, your composition is not good. As long as you're truthful, the most important word is truth. Is being fair. Maybe you'll be subjective. It's very difficult to be objective because, you know, even if my shutter speed is 1 by 100 of a second, say 1 by 125th of a second, and if I take even 125 pictures, all I'm covering is 1 second, right?
Mm.
And if I'm covering a protest rally, which goes on for 3 hours, I'm actually covered only 1 second of that. And I have not covered 360 degrees. I've chosen to cover this person and
Mm.
not that person, keeping background autofocus or in focus. This automatically makes it my personal subjective decision. That's not the problem. But are you being truthful? Are you intentional?
Mm.
Intentions are fair. Are you being... Now, I saw a photograph setting up pictures is definitely wrong. Uh, Doing kind of Photoshop that changes the story or narrative is
Yes.
wrong. But there's one more thing which people might think, oh, it's not wrong. But I saw cropping. Now, cropping is legal, is ethical. Nothing wrong with cropping. I'm trying to search for this picture. I'm not able to find. It's not my picture. Someone else's. In a WTO summit, there was protest going on outside. Their protest is always protesting against WTO, World Trade Organization summit. And then in one of the pictures, one protester was brutally brought down by some 5, 6 policemen and one guy with his legs kneeling on his chest, one his hand, two on his leg. I mean, they're pinning him down against the very brutally with a lot of force. You will feel very angry, and you'll feel a lot of anger against this cops. But you know what the full picture was? Full picture. This man had a big knife in his hand that was cropped away. Now, if you get a knife, it's so dramatic. Knife actually adds to the drama of the picture, which photojournalists will not want to include it.
Hmm.
He didn't shoot it by mistake. That's a different thing. It was there in the picture. But the photographer, for whatever reason, cropped that away. He's a photographer or an activist, right? So your dedication to truth should be, there should not compromise that. That's
But
the most important thing.
but ethics is like I mean, I think it's extremely important in terms of photojournalism, as you say, that it is all about the truth, and what you actually see is what you need to report. What do you think about what's happening in today's world? Because I think today images are being staged a lot, manipulation happens a lot of times things go differently as well. Is that where you feel we are at?
Well, it's very scary days now. I don't know what to say because I tried my hand at AI
Mm.
mid, what was that
Mid
called?
journey.
Mid Journey and there's some other one. And it doesn't
Dali.
need a genius to create anything. I just wrote Syrian refugees and just two other things, maybe a couple of lines. That's all I wrote. Let's see what the result is. I got women and a woman with child running, and there were actually other photographers in there taking pictures, completely fictional, looking so real. I just said Mahatma Gandhi in London. I got this like, and every time you press, you get four more pictures in like 5 seconds. You can create like 400 pictures. And Mahatma Gandhi is walking through the streets, London police, thousands of people. I said, wow, this is scary. I got Nelson Mandela in London, same kind of things. You can do what you want. And you don't need a genius to create it. Just a couple of lines and it creates for you. And it's just the beginning. Just imagine 5 years, will you be able to differentiate between a real picture and an AI picture? In fact, this time I think in World Press, one AI got a picture work done, and
Yes.
then he
Then
said,
they
I
yes.
think so. So I don't know where we're going to go. I think now the importance of agencies will grow because they will definitely filter out what's real and not real, right?
Can you even do that?
Yes, of course. See, now they don't let you edit anymore, and at least Reuters doesn't let you edit unless they know you very well. So they take the entire card and no touching the pictures. They will do it. See, they had a rude shock a few years ago, very rude shock, and they created a software spending $1 million or something like that called Pinecon. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Pinecon, a Greek word, I think so. An amazing software. What happened was, there's in one of those regular wars between Israel and Lebanon. Israel always wins military, wise, but Lebanese, they're very good. Hezbollah and all, they're very good in fighting the media war. So uh, they bombed a building and they bring out a child, you know, and that pictures went, dead children went all over the world, and everyone was angry with Israel. Israel did not know what to do because that media war and perception war, they were losing. Um, so they needed something to fight back, hit back, and they found a Reuters picture shot by a photographer called Adnan Haj. In that, a city had been bombed, Lebanese city, by the Israelis, and the smoke on top, plume of smoke, smoke was there, but it had been multiplied, replicated, which did not at all change the picture. But it was a very bad work of Photoshop. Even someone wanted to do it
Hmm.
to increase smoke, would do it in a better way. It's absolutely obvious.
You could
The same patterns are repeating. Anyone can make out.
right.
So immediately the word photoshopped, Reuters photoshopped. And Adnan Haj said that, listen, I was trying to remove a spot. You have the sensor and not clean the spot. I was trying to remove a spot by cloning this guy. On top of that, tight. Only thing with the brush was the bigger size. I didn't realize that I was sending it from in daylight, outdoors. So I didn't realize wherever it was. I don't know, but he said I couldn't see it properly, and I by mistake cloned the smoke, and it got cloned. I don't know what's the truth, but I tend to believe him because it doesn't serve any purpose to him. It doesn't make the picture any more dramatic. Right? It's not like adding a child to a dead child to a picture, nothing like that. Just smoke has been increased. And it's such a bad job that it looks like a mistake. What I'm surprised is, okay, he didn't spot it. The guy sitting, the sub editor or the photo editor, not the photo editor like what we know, but these are the junior most ranks there. And he didn't spot it sitting in a room, right? I don't know what happened. I think he lost his job or something. Adnan Haj, of course, lost his job. And all his pictures are removed from the archives, but that didn't help much because the publicity campaign after that, the propaganda was really against Reuters. Because you see, the best one to go after is to hit the credibility of Fox News. Who cares? But BBC or Reuters, and Reuters is the epitome of credibility. And you hit out at them, that's it. All the pictures are false. Then they found one more thing, that one dead baby they bring out, the AP picture in the metadata. I know where they got the metadata because it doesn't come with the metadata. Showing a different time, and the Reuters pictures a different time. So different time. But I can understand that. If you're coming from US, your camera has a different time. If you come from India, at a different time. But in perception, right? They started having all cartoons against Reuters. There's a child there. Can we have the child killed for the photograph? All kinds of things about. And, the thing was going on that Reuters photo department was going to be closed. That much pressure they were under. Wow. For one picture. It was maybe a genuine mistake, but everyone paid a price for that. And they brought out this amazing software where they could do remote editing. So you shoot, an entire card is available to the other people at the office. So this is no more editing, nothing. We will edit. So see, they're sticklers to truth and everything. So they don't sell a newspaper; they sell photographs. They can't and reports and television. So um, there was 3 Indian truckers were kidnapped in Iraq. I don't know if you have remember the story. It happened 15, 20 years ago, post-war. And the government was trying to get them freed. And then one day I started getting news at, I don't know, some part of the day in television that I'm not going to name the agencies except Reuters. One agency is reporting 3 truckers have been freed. Wow. European agency. Then came an American agency, no names, is also reporting they have been freed. I said, wow, Reuters have missed the story. I was on Reuters at that time. We have missed the story. And after half an hour, and the story comes. But Reuters is not reporting it. They're not confirming the story. So Reuters is not confirming. By that time, you can imagine what Indian media is up to. They have landed in the homes of these truckers with sweets and telling fathers and mothers and wives to dance. Oh, they're joking. Can you imagine when they made Indian channel, TV channels? I shouldn't say media because there's still some journalism alive in print media. TV channel guys, I know that's entertainment. That's not even. They made these family members dance, and then the news comes in, they're not freed, right? And they were not freed. Of course, thankfully they got freed later. But I felt such sense of pride. This is Reuters. Reuters believes in speed. Everyone believes in speed, but not at the cost of the truth. They the line that you have check, double check, recheck, double check. That's absolutely true for Reuters. I remember one reporter had gone to cover a boycott. Muslim Association had boycotted American products, especially Coca-Cola, during the Iraq War. That happened in the morning, early morning. We went there. I also had gone there. I was covering through photographs, and this reporter, good reporter, very good, but she was getting frustrated by the desk Because every time she would send the story, he'll come back with changes. And they're asking all kind of questions. Like they decided. Who's they? Decided. They decided. Did they have an election? Did they have a vote? Did a committee decide? Every line, every word was being asked. You know, Dangal movie film? When this father of this boy comes and complains about that your daughter beat my son up.
Mm.
He came to complain, but he was getting ideas. He was being proud of his. So while this reporter was complaining about how frustrating it's evening 5 o'clock, they've not moved the story because they're going on having questions after questions. But I started feeling good about it. Okay, wow, that's your dedication to truth about anything. I told
Mm.
you about being photographed, being so. eh, what I already believed in got strengthened by working there actually, and I feel very distraught at seeing that it's just non-existent in India. Where I really want to write somewhere or something. I know it's absolutely politically wrong. I may be criticized heavily for that, but you forget about stopping all that. The the senior management in photo department, they're encouraging it, encouraging a criminal act of setting up pictures. It's criminal act. They think it's just something here. The way you draw the line. Okay, this picture is harmless. Okay, it's a cricket tennis shot. The racket is here. The ball is there. Just move the ball closer. Okay, it's harmless. Where do you draw the line? Next time it may not be harmless. It may be a mask on a coolest face. It may be something even more. You know, someone can actually get prosecuted and go to jail because of a picture which has never happened. Maybe. So I have very strong views about this. I don't care about if quality is good or bad. That you can improve. Credibility. You know, there's a like you can write an IS exam many times, uh, 5, 6, 7 times or something. But there's one test I believe in Air Force, if you want to be a fighter pilot, some kind of simulation test, whether you can be a pilot or not, and that's only once in a lifetime. If you fail that, you can never be a fighter pilot again. I don't know how far it's true, but this is what I've heard.
Mm.
The test of credibility, you can't get it back. Today I'm shooting horrible pictures, my quality is bad. Tomorrow I can become better. I have second chance, third chance, fourth chance. Credibility once gone, resign and do something else. Because even I tell the students, even if your days in college and school you set up something, don't put it on Facebook. How many people, you know, are affected by your pictures? People are going to jail who rightfully should go to jail because of your pictures, the witness, your evidence, the testimony. The Kasab, one of the, of course, uh, the I think the defense of Kasab was he's not Kasab, he's pickpocket, something like that. I don't know what it is, but you need you know the, the absolutely clinching evidence that he is what he is and what he has done. You know where it came from? It came from Sebastian D'Souza's photograph.
Mm. Mm.
But if you go back to his past, and if you saw that he set up pictures, that's it. His picture will be dismissed as evidence, right? It was not, of course. Absolutely, a very honest photographer is.
Mm.
If so many people got arrested because of my pictures and they were used as, if they have to just go back to my past and discredit one picture of mine, which I have shot during my college days, that's it enough. So I tell you, just can't even have a record of anything that you've done even when you're 15 years old. Credibility once lost, cannot get it back. So I tell the students, you may get tempted to, go and set up something. We are not even, and I can understand that. I mean, that's not that someone should tell you. It should come from within. Don't even shoot pictures that's set up by other people. That also is, proxy setup.
Yes.
So that's the biggest thing for journalism. I remember I was talking to 3 people and me in Olympics. All those 3 are dead. My boss included, Desmond Boy, very famous person for Yanis, and he died in Libya. That was okay, time before too. In a book, there's the world's top 20 photographers, featured guys there. Tim Hetherington, never of him, right? He got the Oscar also for this. Next, he got the World Press for his death. The other guy took the prize from Chris Hunt, dead, dead in Libya. Pradeep Bhatia, sometimes. And we were opposite each other. I said, come, let's have lunch. He said, मैं श्रीनगर जा रहा हूँ, आके खाएगा. So friendly guy. When people are fighting, he lands up there, fight to stop. So friend, Pradeep Bhatia. I started seeing this news coming on television. He was the least injured. But just one shot now, through the heart. Still alive. You bacha do, taking. This one, I don't know. I just want to say this. Body was brought back. Normally cover something, then after cover, we like to cigarette and start talking. This was so close to us. I didn't never get used to it, but it's our daily work. We have to cope with it. We have to learn how to cope with it. Something we can't learn. Pradeep Bhatia's death. Not just my friend, everyone's friend. Newly married, it's a great baby. And he died in an explosion. My body was brought back. We were at the airport. So the coffin, was entered out. Closer. I was given the assignment cover. It was an assignment. It was huge news in Delhi and India. That assignment I completed. We already, all of us, were in a state of shock. All us photojournalists in Delhi. But there in the coffin, it was his wife broke down. She looking at the coffin trying to reach out. She's saying, baby, baby. Maybe she'd call him baby. I don't know. But something. That was enough. I just couldn't. And I walked away from there. And Adnan Haj, he also walked away. And we couldn't talk to each other. We're just looking up at the sky, trying to control our. We're getting choked. It literally hit home. That means. When it's close to home, it's a different thing. 2611, they're not Kansas City. Right? It was a different intensity when it's close to home. I can just go on. That's a lot. If you have to be, if you want to be a photojournalist, you have to be prepared for that kind of emotional journey. It's not a cowboy thing about where it's more. And I hear so many youngsters say, I want to be a war photographer. Not for any interest in storytelling, it's just that they find it glamorous, war photography. It's the wrong reason to be. The wrong reason.
What do you do?
There's no glamour in war photography. It's the biggest tragedy of human mankind, the worst manifestation of human beings. That's what I've learned. The futility of war. And how just the people in the middle of it caught in the crossfire, innocent. It's about them. It's not about the warring fashions. I don't do war photography because I love war. I do war photography because I've done which I had. I did everything. So I'm not specialist in anything. And that's what I love. Because when you are reporting, you are either a sports photographer, that in sports, either you're a tennis reporter or a cricket reporter or you're a crime reporter. But what I found it very interesting was that, and kept me stimulated and interested, was that every day was different. Every day. And different kind of stories. But I did war. When I went to war, not love for war photography, going to create my name or very clever, because I didn't like it. And therefore, I think I did it for the right purpose, because I thought it was all about the people. My perception is all about it. People who don't want the war, because it's civilians, it's about them. And it's their stories we have to pick up.
What would you tell any youngster who's interested in getting into this genre, this style of
This what
war photography?
see,
How do you
you really can't be a war photographer in India. Only a war photographer. You can be that. You can select a genre of yours. Only after you made a name for yourself and you're financially independent. That means you can't work for any organization. You're working on your own and you select your own assignment. Otherwise, the closest that you can get to becoming one is to work for an international agency. But that will be covering everything. So you can't be solely a war photographer. So you may cover a war, you may cover sports, you may cover daily life, you may cover business, you may cover fashion. Fashion is not in fashion level, but news. Anything and everything. And that's what I loved about it. There are a bit of everything. Even wildlife, go on a tiger census to Sundarban or something like that. So you can do everything. I like that. If one thing every day if I do, sometimes I get overdose of cricket. It happened also. Overdose of cricket, back to back to back cricket. It was 2006 maybe. The India Pakistan series, the India England series, the India West Indies series. That's why I have enough of cricket. And then I came back when I'm coming back for 6 months home, my house. I hope I recognize where my house is and hope my wife remembers me, my face, and then she knows who's this guy. And okay, then there was a Champions Trophy coming up. I said, okay, I need a 1 month's rest. Next night, 4 explosions and trains. My colleague was, of course, covering it, but it's so big, I had to, I didn't know by post station trains. I was just running. And after that, next 1 month, that coverage in hospital, the inquiries, the funerals, and everything. But in that, what about back to Champions Trophy? You can make any plans. And how you go is unprepared, completely unprepared. It was my off day, and my wife at the school board, I had a round of cigarettes. I was smoking that those days. And they're going to go down for a cigarette. So I was smoking and I got a call, go to Kumbakonam, school factory. I came running up, packed my bag, left. I tell you, what's more difficult than becoming a photojournalist? Becoming a spouse of a photojournalist. Mm-hmm. Because it's much easier to be the bike rider, not the thinker. Mm-hmm. Right? I couldn't have. My wife was a journalist. She travels a lot. She goes to proper places, take a proper flight, go and share a 5-star hotel and beach, go to US or somewhere. And I get so scared about those assignments. Imagine if she was going to Iraq or Arab. It's easier to go there than be a family member waiting. Mm-hmm. I went to Kargil, and there was no telephones there. Working, nothing was working. The only way we could send pictures was sat phones. And 21 days into it, and I got a call from my boss on the phone. He said, have you called your wife? My wife called her. I said, it's very expensive, some $10 something per second or something like that. It's very expensive to call that. That's why I didn't make one for one reason. That second, so they would get chai, ghar mein. And if I start thinking of that, I will not survive. So I had to completely forget my, my regular life. And I called her up and said, she was very emotional. I said, what I'm going through. Every day I know you're alive because I see your pictures in Yahoo. News.yahoo.com had AFP feed. And every day I would see your name there. Last 2 days, no. For some technical issue. Feed was not doing something. But my name was not. She got so scared now for 2 days there. I can imagine if I was in a place, I would have taken a flight and got to call. So there's an award ceremony, and I was speaking there. And I think Pradeep Bhatia got the problem. He got the first prize. I said, please send your wife to take them. Because what they go through. She's also a journalist. She's working. She takes care of home. She does everything. I just take a camera and go and shoot and come back. That's it. I couldn't have done anything about it. We mention always the photojournalist, what of the spouse of the photos. Like be the man, be the wife, but the one who's at home is going to help. See, there are two things. One is just about the race is about to start. How nervous are you? It's not starting. Once in the race, your nervousness is gone. For the photojournalist, it's in the middle of the race. For the spouse, the moment they like before, it's that nervousness. That always needs to be acknowledged. It takes a lot of sacrifice of to be married to photojournalist and craziness. I could have very difficult to marry photojournalist for me. Mm-hmm. But to be a photojournalist is much easier than to be married to.
Okay, thank you, Arko, for doing this. I mean, I, I really don't even know how to sum this conversation up, honestly speaking, because as I mentioned in the start, that it is for anyone who is not really covering such stories, human interest. You are a spectator as such, wherein you're consuming that content on different platforms. But to be in there, to go through what photojournalists go through, still be able to give you those mesmerizing photographs, which can actually change the course of an action. And that is really impact. And that, I think, in my mind, is the truest definition of how that line comes that, a photograph is worth 1,000 words. Because you can get umpteen level of coverages, you can get umpteen level of articles, people can read all of those things. But as you also mentioned, the most iconic things that you always remember are the images, and they are the ones which always get planted or seeded into your head for the rest of your life. Even 10 years down the line, if somebody talks about what do you call Gujarat Riot, the first thing comes to my mind is the photograph that you shot. Even if somebody talks about tsunami, that's the first image which comes to my mind. And I'm sure it's not only me. I'm sure it is anybody and everybody who remembers that unfortunate event or incident. I think that is what they resonate with. And I mean, thank you so much for bringing me one step closer to try and understanding that. Today, because as I said, it's a lot different in terms of what you see, and when you sit across the table, when you actually go through the same level of emotion and thoughts that people like you have gone through.
I feel I had a very privileged life. I had the privilege of just documenting history, perhaps influencing it. That's anyone wants to take a photography for you, so I'd like to say you have huge burden of responsibility because you're not just witnessing history from the front seat, ground zero, closest that you can, but in many ways you're also influencing history, changing history. That's the power of the camera. That responsibility you should always be very aware of. So I feel very privileged to be in that position, and I really enjoyed this chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope you did. Thanks.